Hi everybody, my name is George Dahl of my film journal. Today I have a very special guest, a returning guest, Andy Kouri.
Hey George, how's it going?
Good,
Thanks
man.
for having me on, man.
I'm glad to have you back.
Yeah.
Last time Andy was here, we talked about Westworld for about 10 minutes and then about other things for the next 50. So this time we're going to try to keep it on track.
Stick to the script.
Exactly. And give people what they want, because apparently they've spoken at the box office. Aquaman made like $1 billion in America.
Atlantis has always had a king. Now it needs something more.
But what could be greater than a king?
A hero.
So Andy, my first question, after we've just seen the new DC Comics film Aquaman, what were your expectations going in and how did you feel walking out?
Well, a good friend of mine, a brother of yours, Gus Dahl.
Yeah, frequent guest of the show.
Yeah, pretty much told me that it was crap, and I was going in thinking it was crap, and I had that attitude. I mean, we sat down before the movie. This says it best, and George was like, "Are you still going to do the review afterwards?" And I was like, "I'm not going to see Aquaman for nothing. Like, I'm not here for myself."
Yeah, I understand. That's exactly why I saw it too. Just because I saw the trailer and I was like, "This looks like a mess of nonsense."
Well, Gus said, yeah, the trailer was horrible. I saw a trailer on Instagram, and the acting looked bad. Everything looked bad. I didn't like it. And Gus actually came up with this idea. He was like, let's go see Aquaman and do it on New Year's Day. But then we were all destroyed.
We were all too hungover to do the review as three people together.
It was not happening. Yeah,
which is unfortunate because Gus had a completely different take on the film than we did.
I know. It would be kind of good if Gus was here.
I would like to have that for some pushback.
Yeah.
My brother Gus hated the film.
I hated it really bad. I mean, like he didn't go into detail at all, but he just was like, no, it's horrible. It was like,
he went into detail with me, and he actually went. I was in Target, and it was almost like he was going through therapy, and he walked me through almost the entire film. He was kind of vague on some parts, explained to me. He was telling me how bad it was and how awful. And when I actually went and saw the film, I was surprised that I actually kind of liked it. And you?
Yeah, okay, at the first half of the movie, you said, like, when we walked out, first half was garbage. And I agree. The first half was horrible, but I really fell in love with the characters.
Who?
I fell in love with Jason Momoa. Okay. Obviously, even look at him, you're just like, damn, that's a man.
I think he's got a presence of some kind.
He is. Are you kidding? Look at him. That guy is. There's no other human being on Earth that looks like that guy.
That's true.
He's just like, I don't know. In a no homo way, he's just nice to look at. He's just a dime piece, man.
Okay. I guess you're right.
And that's probably the reason all the women are there. They're just staring at him the whole time. I was even like, damn. Like,
yeah.
And I mean, I fell in love with Amber Heard.
Did you like her in the movie?
Is that her name?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I thought she was great. When she first rolled out there, I was like, oh, here's the hot chick. Like, they're peddling her out here. But no, I thought her and him worked together really well. They really came together. I loved the villain, Night Owl from Watchmen. What's his real name? Patrick
Wilson. Patrick Wilson.
Yeah, Patrick Wilson. Patrick Wilson was fantastic in that. He was a great villain. He didn't do too much, but I mean, like
he did a lot of shit. He was like
I meant like he didn't do too much as far as like to screw it up.
No.
Rise, Atlantis!
He was good.
I thought he was really good. I thought the weakest character that was Dolph Lundgren.
He was the Dolph
Lundgren.
No, he was the man.
Dolph Lundgren was completely misplaced in that movie.
No, he was cool.
He was there because he's Dolph Lundgren. They could have got anybody to play that dude.
But you know what? I feel like the movie was deliberately trying to do kind of like an 80s thing. Like there were moments during the film where there would be like synth music. Mm-hmm. Like they were trying to do kind of a throwback. Like, hey, we know that Aquaman is kind of like a goofy-ass character, so we're going to go all out.
I didn't get that really. I don't know. I felt like I'm glad that they had going in. I absolutely never read the comics or anything like that. I had no idea, and I didn't know there was gonna be all this like backstory with all these different clans in the sea and all this stuff. I was going in and I was like, dude, who cares about why does the ocean need a superhero? Like this is like fish? Like it doesn't make any sense. The movie's fun. The movie's a lot of fun to watch. Especially in the movie theaters. Maybe at home it wouldn't have been that much fun to watch. You might get bored. But in the movie theaters, you're just getting... I mean, like, it reminded me a lot of movies like Tron and The Last Jedi, where the action scenes is really what makes it for you. Yeah. I mean, Jason Momoa was fantastic. There was a lot of chemistry there. But the action scenes make it. There was a lot of points where I was super bored when they were talking. Where I was just like...
Well, okay, I totally disagree with you because I didn't find that there were any moments in the film where anybody was talking. And there's probably, like, 3 scenes where they're conversing and it ends with an explosion.
You know I know you're right, actually, yeah.
Well, and they'd be like talking, oh, we can't form the sea, and then
right when it got kind of boring, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, and I thought that to be. I wanted the movie to kind of slow down a little bit. Sometimes.
Really, I was up
and
for
it. Just
it,
was
dude.
like non-stop barrage of like, but
But you said it best mid-film. They took us to like half. That was the point. The same point when I was like, I kind of like this movie. When they were in Italy, they were in Sicily, and they were like in that little tiny village, and they were like all the battles going on. I'm like, they're giving us a lot here. And then they went to the desert, and they went to the Sahara, and I was like, I'm all for it. There's still little pieces, bits, like when they jumped out of the plane, I was kind of like,
Yeah. No, and Gus explain. That's actually the things that we liked about the movie, because there's something like shamelessly hucksterish about it. Like, come into the tent. We got all sorts of action in the tent. You know, like you'll see all sorts of stuff going to the desert. You know, it's like they go on a grand adventure, and it's like, compare this movie to like the first Thor. Because there's a lot of similarities there in terms of like it's a magical kingdom in another realm, guy's unworthy goofball like goofing around who has to become king at the end, right? Mm-hmm. But like think back on the first Thor and into this movie looked expensive. Thor kind of looks cheap. If you look back at it.
I mean, like, dude, Thor was like 10 or 8 years ago, 5 years ago,
7, 8, yeah.
That's a long time ago, man.
This movie looked
in terms
expensive
of tech,
as shit.
It was expensive as shit. How much did this movie cost? Where's Taylor? Taylor!
I'd say probably 300. Yeah, young Jamie. Probably $300 million. I can't imagine it costing anything less. Because I think when they were producing it, they had like 4 directors drop out of the movie, and it was just kind of a big disaster. And everyone was thinking, "Oh, this is going to be terrible. It's going to be a flop." Plus, Justice League was a flop. Batman vs Superman. The only DC Comics movie that's actually been successful was Wonder Woman.
It got a 65 on Rotten Tomatoes, and I agree with that.
I say that's fair.
65 is extremely fair. All right, they spent $160 million to $200 million on this thing. See, the thing...
That's
no. Well, here,
200.
Here's what I'm saying is, where that's believable, is I believe that, like, okay, maybe when the Transformers, the old movies, like, 10 years ago when they were coming out, CG was so expensive, but it's almost like back in the day, 1 gigabyte would cost, like, hundreds of millions of... or tens of millions of dollars to have 1 gigabyte of storage, and nowadays... You have 160 like in your pocket. So it's kind of like that where this gets cheaper. Tech gets cheaper to produce. This CG. I mean, like we said before, the dog was probably CG in that movie.
Right. And that's actually something that I thought was a negative to the movie, because especially in that first half, they're throwing all this CGI stuff at you, and you can look at it and say, you know what, this is probably expensive, but I have to go to the bathroom right now, and I'm going to go because it's just... It almost seems like fake at times. Like when they're flying around in the ship through Atlantis.
I love that, dude. I still... I don't know what it is about me, but like when that stuff's happening, I look at it and I'm just like... it's almost like I can put myself there. I'm just like...
All right.
Like I love it when all those explode. It happened ever since like the first Tron, when Tron came out. And you're sitting in the IMAX theater watching it. It's almost like you're going. And it was unbelievable. No. And I still get that feeling. I don't know if it'll ever go away. Maybe you've seen a lot more movies than I have. So you might have kind of... worn off your you might have a little
I'm jaded.
Maybe you have like a what's the word I'm looking for when you have like when you drink a lot of alcohol and you don't get as drunk, you have a tolerance built up. You have a tolerance built up to CG. I mean,
I think I might.
And also, I mean,
it just doesn't impress me anymore. No.
Just to be super fair, this is I saw Gran Torino with my not Gran Torino. I saw The Mule with my grandparents like 3 days ago. That was the first movie I saw in theaters in like 2 years.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I don't get out that much to the theaters.
Okay.
I usually wait till like, I mean, now it's not like the old days when you got to wait 3 years for the VHS to come out. I mean, it's out in like a week and a half after it comes out of theaters because they're just trying to like.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah. It's crazy, but I think this movie is definitely one that benefits from seeing it in the theater. And you brought up Tron Legacy, which is also a movie that was really formative for me and that I really enjoyed when I was like in 9th grade when it came out, right?
Yeah, I got driven there by Alex Y's parents, so I couldn't drive.
Yeah. Now we talked about the first scene, especially when we were seeing it in the theater, where we get the flashback with Timur Morrison and what's her name?
Nicole Kidman.
Nicole Kidman. See, I know the name of the guy who played Jango Fett, but not world famous star Nicole Kidman. But
who was great in it? Nicole Kidman was wonderful. Jango Fett might not have been that great.
Yeah. But think back to we noticed at the beginning there was something off about their appearance. It's because they were CGI de-aged.
Yeah. Okay. That was a really good call on your part. I did not even think about that. I was just watching it. I was like, why do they look so fucking weird?
And there's kind of like an interruption there because you're just kind of like, what? You know, like,
they look goofy, dude.
It's like if you go out to dinner with somebody and somebody's wearing like an outfit that has like too many plaid tie and plaid shirt. And you're kind of like, but okay. Even though it was distracting and not great, think how much better the tech has gotten since Tron Legacy. Remember the CGI young Jeff Bridges?
Yeah.
How it just looked kind of like wonky. Yeah.
It almost looked like a ghost.
It looked weird. It looked like it's what they call the uncanny valley, where they can get only so close to where to what a real human looks like.
That's an interesting way of putting it.
And that's what they call it in the industry.
Yeah, sure.
They're trying to beat that uncanny valley, which is why movies like Beowulf. Oh, remember that Beowulf?
Beowulf looks ridiculous.
Yeah. Or like Polar Express.
Yeah.
You're just like, it just looks too real. Willem Dafoe. Why even bother? Like, they did that to him, like, when it's like, who gives a shit? Like, he's Willem Dafoe. He's looked the same for 30 goddamn years.
They didn't CGI Nicole Kidman at all.
Yeah, no, or they did it and it didn't even, like, you didn't need to because she still is beautiful, right?
Going on characters, I thought there were some characters that were misused. Two of them, Willem Dafoe, first of all. I thought Willem Dafoe was extremely misused. Felt like...
As in how?
I felt like he could have played such a bigger role than he did. I mean, like, he was... In a way, you didn't need Willem Dafoe.
No.
You did not need him at all. He could have learned fighting. Didn't even have to explain his backstory on fighting.
Maybe his dad taught him fighting because his dad was a boxer. You know,
yeah,
you could say
exactly.
Like that.
You didn't need, and Willem Dafoe, felt like he was going to do something the whole movie, and he never did.
No.
And then at the end, he just shows up. He's like, "My king," and you're like,
He's a lot like Forrest Whitaker's character in Black Panther. Remember him? He was
exactly.
He just doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like we need another big name star to like bring in a different segment of the population. You know what I mean? Or something like
I
that.
love Willem Dafoe, but I felt like he was worthless. Second person I thought was worthless is Black Panther. No, Black Manta. Black Manta.
He goes in the theater. He goes, "I'm Black Manta," and he just goes, "Did he just say he's Black Panther?"
It sounded like he said Black Panther, and I was like, I was like, wait a second. I was like, did they just take some liberties here?
Yeah.
They're gonna be like, well, I don't know. Anyway,
I thought Black Manta looked cool as shit.
he was okay. His costume looked ridiculous.
That's how he looks in the comics.
George was like, that's exactly looks like the comics. I'm like, well, he looks stupid. It's a
straight-
stupid look.
Straight out of the comics, straight out of Super Friends cartoon. Which I actually thought was really cool. And I recently looked up, like, there's a lot of weird wonky things in the movie where people say things like, they're like, oh, if Patrick Wilson becomes the biggest dude around, he's going to be the Ocean Master. I was like, why couldn't he just be like Emperor of the Seven Seas or something that didn't sound stupid, you know? But then I looked it up, and I guess Ocean Master is a comic book villain.
Ocean Master's kind of sick, dude. That's kind of a cool name. Let's be honest, dude.
Yeah.
That's a cool name.
He's going to be
They used it like midi-chlorians.
Yeah.
Midi-chlorians is like a word they used once, and then they used it like one more time a little bit later, but it just distracts you from what you should be looking at.
Well,
and
yeah.
But no, back to Black Manta. First of all, his backstory was horrible. Okay, he's a pirate that robs submarines.
Well, okay, they explained it. He had to steal the sub so they could fake the attack.
Okay, they explained why he stole the sub, but like at the beginning of the movie, I'm like, who robs submarines? Like, what is there to take from submarines?
You can take like atomic bombs, missiles. Shit, submarines have missiles and shit. You can
Okay,
sell on
that
the
makes
black
that
market.
makes sense. Okay, that's a good backstory. I thought they were gonna be like, empty your wallets. Yeah. Like, what is gonna happen? Like, we're gonna take all the e-sign dude's money.
Empty your wallets. We're taking all your rations.
We have a $1 billion machine that allows us to go underwater and get subs.
Well, here's the thing: like, why not save him for the next movie as the villain? You know what I mean? Because it's just like.
I think they did. I don't think he died. I mean,
No,
like,
he'll
it
be
looked
back.
like he died.
Yeah, it looked like he got his ass beat. I love they had that like GoPro shot on his helmet, like hitting rocks. Like you're like, oh
Dude,
god.
it literally looked like they were like, all right, how are we gonna do this? And like the directors, like something like they just took a big dummy with the costume, just chucked it down the side of a cliff because like I don't think that was CG, dude. It was
real.
like rolling, like the physics of that really looked. Unless
Yeah,
they got.
especially they had like literally GoPro shots of a person like flailing around
Yeah,
and
I
like
think they were
hitting
just like,
rocks.
we can only do this once because we
Yeah.
only have $200 million.
No, that was pretty.
post.
But dude, I mean, that scene where like Amber Heard's running on the rooftops.
That was awesome.
And then that dude is like busted
Below
through.
him? That was
I
a
like,
cool shot.
This is amazing. I mean, this is like really.
I enjoyed it.
You're getting your money's worth because like this movie. Let me tell you, people. There are sea monsters. There's a Lord of the Rings scale battle where fishmen and the Atlanteans fight like crab people underwater.
It was lit.
There's dinosaurs. You know, they're on a dinosaur island.
They went to Jurassic World. I mean, they showed the upper clip of that. I feel like that was another thing I cut and post.
Yeah.
They were going to show more of that island and shit, but then they were like,
Yeah,
but they still they made the mistake of actually showing
Yeah.
a little bit of it. So then we were like,
They go on like an Indiana Jones adventure. There's like, I mean, there's some badass hand-to-hand combat
here's the
scenes
problem.
too.
Here's the problem. Is this movie pre or post Justice League?
Post, I believe.
Okay, because I was gonna. It was
Yeah, it's gotta be. I think it's gotta be post.
But I mean, like, is he the police officer? Is he policing the sea for some reason? Yet he doesn't care about the sea or Atlantis. Or
He doesn't
anything
care
like
about. Well, because I was confused too. Because then like the Amber Heard shows up and she just kind of like walks out of the water. You know, there's no like. That's what I'm saying about the movie doesn't breathe. There's no moments of like anticipation or suspense. It's all really just like this happened and this, and then she shows up.
There was no moment of clarity. At
Yeah,
all.
first of all,
there was no moments of
because
clarity.
then he goes like, "Oh, I don't even know your name," and it's like, what? Like, how does she know about you? Why does she give a shit about you? Right? Why couldn't it have been that they were like childhood friends or something? You know what I mean? So why?
There should have been more crisscross. I feel like in their childhoods, where like maybe he like was underwater and he saw her, And she was like there, and he was there, and then they like went there, and then she took off, and he was like, "What was that?" And Willem Dafoe was like, he asked Willem Dafoe, and Willem Dafoe was like, "You'll know when you're older." Like, or Willem Dafoe was never in the movie, and he just saw her.
That's right.
And his dad taught him in a box.
That'd be a great idea if like he saw her underwater.
Or he was like he was like an MMA fighter, and like he was just beating the shit out of dudes, and but he went underwater or something like that.
It'd be like when Robert De Niro sees Jennifer Connelly's character, not Jennifer Connelly, but when he sees never mind. Fuck it. Once Upon a Time in America, great movie. Good.
Never seen it.
It's good.
Sorry.
But yeah, I know what you mean. And it was just like you're just kind of thrown into shit. He's like, oh, I don't want to be in Atlantis, and you're like,
I don't have anything to do with the water. I'm a land person, but he's policing the water. Back to the police in the water.
I think he's just being an altruist like every once in a while. He's like, oh, I can help out, I'll help out.
So he's like, what's his name? Will Smith in that one movie.
Hancock?
Yeah, he's Hancock, dude.
Dude, I haven't thought about Hancock in years.
He's basically Hancock, dude.
Oh my god, I forgot about Hancock.
I have only seen Hancock once, and it was on my. I had the you remember the Razor phone?
Yeah.
I've had my Razor, and I literally bought it for like $6 off the Sprint store, and I watched it on my Razor phone, in my room. That was like my first like in my room like Netflix experience. It wasn't Netflix, but I mean like on a portable device where I was literally watching on a Razor phone with the Razor sound. I was That's
hideous.
the only time I've seen Hancock. And you know what?
Not good.
I mean, yeah, it was bad.
Yeah,
but what's his name was bad in that movie?
Will Smith.
No.
Jason Bateman.
Jason Bateman.
He was good.
He was bad in that movie.
No, it was okay. I haven't thought about the movie in a long time. I have to like reassess that. That movie might have been like 10 years too early. If it had come out now, maybe it would have had more resonance.
Will Smith be too old for it.
Yeah, so many superhero films now. But I was going to say too talked about Ocean Master, and he's wearing a purple suit with like a spiky silver helmet, but somehow he looked kind of cool. Do you know what I mean? At the end, the bad guy.
What you mean?
Patrick Wilson.
Night Owl?
Yeah.
I don't remember. He was wearing
He was wearing a helmet with red eyes and spiky silver.
Oh, I didn't
spikes.
even notice that.
Like the
I thought it was
Statue
just
of
like
Liberty.
dude. If that's like
But what I'm saying is, it's like if I describe that to you, it sounds ridiculous, but it works in the context of the film.
He looked cool as hell. But the thing was, it's like I don't even know how you noticed that was his Ocean Master costume because everyone was wearing wax shit, and so it was just like almost like he was camouflaged. And I was like, that's just another costume.
Yeah,
and
that's a good point.
But I thought,
like even the idea of Aquaman wearing green pants and orange, which has been his costume since the 50s, right? That you look at that in a comic, you go, that's goofy. We got to change this, right? But it's a real testament to like the brilliance of these old comic guys that they could like come up with these color schemes and combinations and costumes even back then, and they last 70 years and they still look cool in the theater if you embrace them. I think a lot of before this, if you had pitched an Aquaman movie to anybody, people would have been like, what does Aquaman do? Like he talks to fish, like he's underwater. How much crime happens underwater? LOL. Aquaman sucks.
Yeah,
but it seems
that was
like,
what I was saying.
Yeah, and it seems like the goal of James Wan, the director, who also did Furious 7, a film that I hated. One of the worst movies I've ever seen. I wanted to walk out of the theater. It was so goddamn bad. And he also made the Conjuring films with Patrick Wilson. But I think he set out to do something where he's like, you know what? I'm going to change the perception of Aquaman. And I think Jason Momoa was a big help because he's a good personality. I think he did a fine job.
He's a good dude. He's not like a douche, like at all.
I felt like sometimes he grated on my nerves a little bit where he'd be like, whoa, cool. Like, oh man, this is
okay.
dumb.
That stuff, I hated that shit.
Yeah.
But you know what? At the same time, he was like a normal dude.
Yeah.
And like,
there's one great little bit where he delivers a line with real passion and feeling where they go, you need to be greater than the king. And he goes like really, wide-eyed and sort of innocent. Like, what could be greater than the king? Like you really feel, you can feel that there's something in him. Like, that's a real moment.
There's something about, though, and I mean, this is just human nature. There's something about, like, a really, like when you see somebody and you're just like, damn, dude, like, that's a cool-looking person or whatever, and they act down to earth and they're friendly. Yeah, like when you like if you met like a supermodel and they were like super like cool and down to earth and nice stuff, it's like you almost like that person more. Yeah, it's super weird. There's something about human nature where you're just like, oh, they're just like me, and then you feel like up to them almost. And that's what he does. He kind of brings you to his level with his personality, and I really felt like that's what made. And so did Amber Heard. Amber Heard did a great job too. She was. You don't like her?
I liked her like skin tight outfit.
What did you want?
What did I want? I didn't ever feel like they had any sort of connection because here's the thing. I think the movie like gives you it gave you a shortcut to there being romance, right? So there's the scene where they're swallowed up by a whale to escape from Atlantis, and they're in the whale, and it's like. Even though they're in the mouth of a giant animal, it still seems like somewhat romantic. And you see that image and you go, this is a romantic shot. There's nothing inherently romantic happening in this scene, but they're kind of like force feeding this idea to you. And there'd be moments where like she would turn and look at him lovingly, and it just did not ring true for me.
Man, I felt that way too. I felt like those little moments when they touched hands and like that. That was kind of weird.
man.
I'm not talking about their romantic chemistry.
Dude, they did that.
I'm not talking.
That
Okay, listen.
cliche was destroyed by Napoleon Dynamite.
I'm not talking about their romantic chemistry. I'm talking about their chemistry on stage where they worked together, and I truly believed that they were friends and she was on his side.
Okay, fair.
I truly believed that she was 100%, which didn't make any sense because she didn't know him. But
Right, yeah.
but it didn't. It almost like I felt like she should have felt like he was just like a tool for her to use. Like, I need you to defeat this guy so we don't destroy everything.
And then she started to like him. Yeah.
But it didn't even work like that. She was immediately friendly to him.
But that would have been more interesting, though. Had she, because she just is kind of like, you need to come back and be the king. And he's like, why? And she's like, because you're awesome.
I disagree with that totally. Yeah, I just felt like, yeah, she accepted him way too easy. She should have been like, oh, you're a piece of shit, but I need you. And like, she was just there with open arms. And at the beginning of the movie, I was like, this is dog shit. But then I kind of got mystified by like, everything else that happened. I don't know, dude. Maybe I'm just a dope who likes big lights and shit like that.
No, I don't think.
I'm starting to think I am because like a lot of people that bring up points, I'm like, oh, like I didn't really care about that. I still liked it.
No, I understand, but I just feel like they were put in romantic settings when there was in actuality like no romance like actually happening.
Yeah.
They
shouldn't have been. I felt like it should have ended like Pacific Rim when they just hug at the end.
No, I have a big diatribe against that, and I call it the corporate hug. And it's like because you know what? There's a lot of satisfaction at the end when they kiss.
I mean, if they don't need to kiss, they don't need to kiss. If they don't need to be together, they don't need to be together.
No, I disagree. Because I mean, at the end of Rogue One, what do you get? Corporate hug. And you're just kind of like, dude, you're gonna blow up.
What are they gonna do? They're just gonna start making out and then be sad because they have to die? It's like, no, dude, we're just gonna die as friends. I don't know why.
I think it's a misplaced feminist idea that if a woman kisses a man at the end of the film, that it's somehow an abdication of her agency. I'm
not coming from there at all.
That's what I think Hollywood thinks, and that's why they go, it would be much more correct if they were just a hug, and that it would be just that a man and woman can work together in a corporate setting and not have a romantic interest with one another.
Disagree 100%.
But that's what I'm saying Hollywood's mentality is. Because you know Pacific Rim, they shot an ending where they kissed.
Really?
And they decided to go with hug.
But the thing is like they had no romantic involvement throughout the whole movie in Pacific Rim,
yeah.
And so why do they need to kiss? Right. At the end of it, they're just like, oh, like they just, you know what I mean?
No,
they
I get
hug. Why can't, you know what? I'm not saying the feminist movement here, but I call complete bullshit on that. I think you're just saying it's feminism. They're forcing this. I'm
just saying.
I think. Why can't a man? All right. Why can't they work together and just be there? That's
true.
Why can't? All right, I'm going to argue that point. I'm going to play devil's advocate here. Sure. Why can't a man and woman be on the same side, work together, and not be romantically linked?
I would say number one, you can do that in plenty of films. But I think at the end of a big blockbuster movie, people expect...
I feel like that's old school,
They want humor, action, romance. That's cathartic. You want a cathartic ending of, they went on a big adventure together and now they're in love. And actually there was one line I wish he would have given that I feel like it was a big mistake, where she goes, now you're king, and he goes, what do I do? And he just goes, this is going to be badass, whoa! And that's how it ends. And I'm like, he should have said, hey, you know what, every king needs a queen.
Yeah, see, that would have been good. But the thing was, there was none of that. There was none of that, so you don't need them to kiss.
You think that he and her should have kissed in the movie?
Here's the thing, okay? There's forced things and there's not forced things. This kiss was forced. You got to look at it like...
You think the kiss in this movie was forced?
Look at it like strong feminine... Like, for instance, like when they remade Ghostbusters, okay? With all women. And it was horrible because they forced it and they made men stupid and it was really gross. And they really forced the woman thing. And now they're trying to force women in roles and stuff like that. And like, oh, we have to have a woman in this movie. But like, look at Sigourney Weaver in Alien. You never even thought twice that she was a woman, just because she's a badass chick.
Yeah, she's
okay. And now think about,
but she was also a mother in that movie.
Sure, but
she was very feminine.
But she was still. But you never even thought about the feminine side of her. She was just a badass chick, and you never even thought, hey, this is a strong ass woman. This is just a person out there hustling, okay?
Right.
And so they never. And when you force the woman thing, I feel like it hurts. And just like when you force the kiss thing and the romance thing, it hurts. But when you have a movie like, okay, look at Star Wars. Look at Princess Leia and Han Solo. Right. The whole entire movie, there's sexual tension there, okay? Oh, yeah. And you can feel it. You know, Han Solo's like, dude's a stud. It's very and she's like the hot chick, and he's making like little snide comments.
But she's really strong and willful.
Yeah, exactly. But
that's why he likes her.
He's
putting up a fight.
He's making snide comments the whole time, and you can feel it building. But in Pacific Rim, there was nothing building.
No, you're right.
You didn't need the kiss. Rogue One, nothing building. Don't need the kiss. You don't need to force. That's the point I'm trying to make.
My problem is not that there's a lack of a kiss, but there's no thought to saying that there should be a romance between the two people in Rogue One. They just say, no, we're not going to do that. And I would say I think you probably have a movie that's more human.
Maybe I'm coming from like an innocent point of view.
I think it's just like
it's.
I think people want to go to the movies to see romance, and it just seems like they're not interested in doing that anymore.
Do they? I don't want to. I mean,
absolutely.
I'm not in a movie to see romance. Not every movie. If the movie's leading up to it, then it makes me feel good about it. I mean, you're always.
I think a big adventure film like this should have that.
Every movie is like. When they do something like that makes you feel good, like they kiss at the end, okay? You know why you feel good about that? Is because they poke you the whole entire movie, and you're like, oh, damn, I hope they get together. Like, that'd be super cool if they got together. And then they get together, and you're like,
yes.
Oh, yes, here we go. You know what I mean? And you're like, and at the beginning, you like the girl, you like the guy, and you're like, I kind of want them to be together.
Exactly.
But I feel like if the movie doesn't have that at all, then they don't. Then at the end, you're just like, you're not rewarded by it.
No, I know. So then why does a movie like Rogue One eliminate that feeling? I want them to get together. Why did they eliminate that? And I think it sucks the soul out of the movie.
You're talking for the beginning. Why did they do it?
Okay. Why wasn't it? Because I think that, and I'm not trying to say like I want to reinforce, conservative family norms in films.
That's what it sounds like. That's what it sounds like.
That's not what I'm saying.
Hey man, I'm calling you out here. That's what it sounds like.
No, what I'm saying is, if you want to amp up the entertainment value of your film, because Rogue One is just a movie about people who are just like ideological, like we just need to get this job done, and that movie seems very distant and almost like there's no humanity. And Mr. Plinkett makes this point about The Force Awakens, and he's like, why didn't Finn and Rey get together? They're just like weird, like
Finn's awkward as shit though.
Yeah, I know he is, but like they're just kind of like weird platonic friends.
I hate it.
They're just kind of like, what is going on here? Like, why can't there be some romance here?
I mean,
there was plenty of romance in Star Wars. That's one of the key factors that keeps Empire Strikes Back a cohesive film.
I think that
gives it such power.
I think that as far as like movies go, and maybe from the beginning they're doing this and they're really forcing things like that. But I mean, or they're making it so like, hey, we're not going to go in this direction. Right. But if they don't want to go in that direction, I mean, like, Force Awakens, it's a bunch of people trying to. I mean, like, they have to do this in order to defeat the Empire. It's objective as hell. That's what I appreciate. It's a bunch of people who just did their job.
Yeah.
And they sacrificed themselves for everyone else.
Right.
And I feel like in that you don't need any romance.
Okay.
It's a bunch of people working towards a goal that is bigger than themselves.
Okay.
And in what you're talking about a movie where it is themselves. Mm-hmm. Like, for instance, the first Star Wars movies. Like, they're really, I mean, like, they're fighting for the Empire, but they're fighting for themselves.
Well, that's
I didn't feel like Han Solo didn't give a shit about anybody else.
Maybe you've gotten to the soul of why I find Rogue One kind of distant and cold. Is it because it is a movie about the greater good in the community?
Okay,
Star Wars,
I'm listening.
Star Wars is very much about the hero's journey and the individual quest for self-fulfillment. Whereas Rogue One is about, like, our individuality does not matter. We can die.
But are you gonna make fucking 18 billion movies? Star Wars has to make a bunch of movies, dude. And you know what? That was off trilogy. That was like a random little movie here. Fair. And so why can't they just be completely objective?
But it's a collectivist kind of movie.
I feel like
I get it. I mean, it calls me like a World War II movie where it's like we're all dying. Oh, everyone died for the. Yeah,
I feel like movies like that, they serve a purpose in teaching you almost that like they're like something that's bigger than yourself. And like maybe that's just not your thing personally, and maybe it's not my thing personally. But I mean, like I feel like that teaches you about an aspect of life where you're like, okay, like these people did this, and it is kind of cold. But I mean, like,
and everyone is so rigid and professional in that film. There's no humor.
Are you kidding me? There was humor. What about the two Asian dudes?
Well, they were funny,
but they were like trying to be funny. Like you can't say there wasn't. Okay, there's funny humor and there's not funny humor, but it's still humor. The word's there.
This movie, I thought, one thing in this movie I thought was funny was the flipping of the expectations when all those like redneck Ku Klux Klan guys like come up behind Aquaman and they're like, "Hey, you that fish boy."
I thought that went a weird way. I was like,
but I liked it. They were like, "Let's get a photo," and then the sort of montage of them taking photos showed how his father got drunk. His father's special power was
drinking. His dad was an alcoholic. And I was like, oh,
my power is alcoholism. Let's get breakfast.
He's taking that girl leaving harder. I'll tell you, Nicole Kidman still looked good, and that dude looked bad.
Yeah.
At the end of the movie, Django Fett not aged well.
I'm glad to see him getting work though.
Yeah, me too. I was like, that guy's getting a paycheck. Like, hell yeah, dude. I mean, like, I don't know how he got there, but
he was in Green Lantern too.
Who was he in Green Lantern?
He was a guy who gave Ryan Reynolds a ring, the purple guy. They just put him in makeup.
Green Lantern. Okay, when you said Green Lantern, I thought Green Mile. I was like, when you gave Ryan Reynolds the ring, I was like, wait, what? Okay, I never saw Green Lantern.
Okay, Green Lantern is actually shockingly similar to this movie, but at the time it was panned and hated. You know what I mean?
This movie's hated. I mean, like, what are you talking about?
I don't think it is.
A lot of people hate this movie.
I think everyone went to it and was kind of like,
My friend, literally,
Okay, I get it.
when I texted my group of friends and I was like, don't see the mule, one of my friends texted back and goes, don't see Aquaman.
It might just be that our expectations were so low.
I had a lot of fun. I mean, like, I think if we would have walked in with high-ass expectations, we'd be having a lot different movie review right now.
But you know, there's so much goofy shit in it. Like, there's an octopus playing drums.
Yeah, that was
You
dumb.
know?
When that was happening, I was like, George Lucas is here. I was like, then let him make one scene.
Like, George, come to the set. Oh, what if you had a big octopus that was playing drums?
Yeah, exactly.
We like the Padres.
Yeah. No, dude, I
The
felt
boom
like
to Eve.
that's a good way. Here's how I'll sum this movie up. If I wasn't in the movie theater watching it, I would have shut it off.
Okay.
I mean, do you think you would have continued watching throughout the whole entire thing if you weren't in the movie theater? If you were sitting on your couch alone on a Saturday night, you had other shit to do. This thing comes on TV.
I wasn't even planning on seeing it until I was like, you know what, I should do a review for it. It was such a big hit.
I didn't vibe
I
with.
wanna see it,
I didn't
you know,
vibe with the
like-
first half of the movie at all, and I
No.
would have shut it off.
And it was jarring because, I mean, there were scenes where they would just all of a sudden, like, you'd go down to Atlantis and they'd all be standing there and they'd be like, oh, the Seven Kingdoms are going to fight, you know, and you're like, what? And then just like they get attacked by a submarine. And I think that still early on, the underwater stuff with like the blurriness and like they made their voices echo, you know, a little bit like they were talking underwater. It was kind of distracting and annoying. And I noticed that like they established that a lot. And then it kind of dissipated as the film
Yeah,
went
I
on.
liked how it dissipated. Because at the first beginning, I was like, why do we have to just underwater? It's blurry.
Yeah.
Like, why could they at least make it clear underwater? And, like, why are the voices all crazy? And they did dissipate that.
So it's kind of like, you know, Peter Jackson did that with the Lord of the Rings, where he's like, if you establish that the hobbits are small early on and drill that into everybody's brain.
You don't need to do it later.
Exactly.
That's an interesting idea.
So he goes, I did as many like shots
Very
of
smart.
people and hobbits like at the beginning of the film as I could. Then as it goes on, you don't really need
Very smart.
it. Right.
I know it's a good idea. And it's little things like that are just, like,
Yeah.
little psychological weapons, like almost tools, I guess I could say,
But-
like that are just extremely powerful. I felt like they did this well in
Yeah.
this professionally produced film.
Yeah.
Like-
It was well done. It was great designs on like the soldiers and everybody, all the different kingdoms, like the fish guy that gets like brutally murdered and poor dude, poor fish,
Yeah.
Korean fish guy. Remember he gets stabbed with a trident.
What I think is like
Good world building. I like the idea that Atlantis was built on top of the old Greek Atlantis that like sunk into the water. That was cool.
I feel like maybe our expectations are low in the fact that like they're so low, but should they have been that low? I mean, like when you put $200 million into a movie, should it suck? I mean, like should it? Like that's an honest question. There's a lot of $200 million movies that suck.
That's like a GDP of some small nations.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe a little less, but.
I don't know.
Well, Andy, I think I liked Aquaman. I'm glad you did too.
I loved it. I liked it. It was
Yeah,
a good dude.
I liked it too.
For the expectations I had rolling in, liked it. Once again, movie theater movie.
Totally.
It's a movie theater movie.
I wouldn't recommend this for everybody.
I wouldn't recommend it for you if you're sitting on your couch and you're not really feeling like, if you're just flipping through Netflix and you don't really know what you want to watch, don't watch this. If you want to watch this and you want to take the time to sit down and watch it and make it to the end, you're going to have fun.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of enjoyable elements though in it. I mean,
And don't
it's-
watch it alone because you're probably going to get bored. Like
Jason Momoa, who, like we said before, he's got a certain charisma about him.
he's got a charisma, yeah.
And I thought that before in his
Secretly
early
in love
career,
with Jason Momoa. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, well, I thought they were trying too hard to make him the next Schwarzenegger. Like they cast him as Conan, and I was kind of like, come on.
I didn't. Okay.
But he's kind of getting to be his own guy now, and he is sort of a star in the level of like The Rock or Conan.
When that
You
movie
know?
first started, I was like, they should have kept this
Or
dude
Arnold.
as fucking Drago and kept not letting him talk. He speaks a different language, so you don't know what he's saying. I was like, this is bad. But then I really, really started to like him
You
at the
do
end.
warm up to it.
By the end of the movie, I was all in for Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
And Amber Heard.
I was glad he got to put on his king when he got his trident. I was like, right on.
Willem Dafoe, you were a good guy, but you shouldn't have been in this movie.
I love you though, Willem Dafoe.
Good actor. Boondock Saints forever.
Yeah.
Don't make any more movies about that, though.
Did you see Boondock Saints too?
Oh, yeah, dude.
God
They're
damn.
coming out with number 3 soon.
No.
Yeah, they are. Well, they say they are. I mean,
Stop
like,
it.
they don't have any money. That's the biggest problem is nobody wants to fund those guys. Anyway,
Yeah.
let's
Hey.
wrap this boy up. George, thank
Definitely.
you so much for having me out. Thank you for the tacos.
You're welcome.
The movie was great.
Yeah.
Until I see you guys next time.
Thanks for having me on. All right, thanks for watching.
This is George Dahl. I'm George Dahl.
Peace out.